Can you guys hear me okay? Is there a delay? And Miss Tanya, you're muted, so I can't hear you. Just let me know.
Here we go. Now I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear
Great.
you. I just want to make sure. Sage.
Hi, Sage.
I have both of them with me, so they might make their little appearance. And then I know Miss Vicky's is connected to audio. And then I just wanted to let me turn this way. Sage, you have to be quiet. Okay. Let me tilt it up just a little bit more so I know that you all can see me. Because I want to make sure you can see my feet. We were exploring with that last week, so I just want to make sure I'm able to be seen. I still can't see my head. Tilt it up just a little bit. Oh, you guys are in the Club Pilates studio. I love it. I love it. Late nights, fun stuff, right? Okay. Same thing. So if I just tilt it up one more inch, whoops, we'll be good. I think if I just tilt it up just a hair, you'll see everything. All right. Yes, I think you can see everything on me. Sage, quiet, or you need to go upstairs. Or actually, to go to your room. Go in here. I can't. Go. Quiet. Not gonna tell you again. All right, so ladies, thank you guys for joining me today. We're gonna go over the warm-up portion of the control, or like what was in your manual, but I added on a few things just so you kind of have some more to play with and things of that nature. So I'm gonna do this with no music for today, but as you feel a little bit more comfortable with the repertoire, then you can kind of add music, and we can use that for a different day when we talk about sequencing and musicality and things of that nature. Does that sound okay? Yep. Okay, perfect. So we'll start with just freestanding. So you'll just need your mat if you want to do it with me. And then afterwards, we'll go into the reformer work, like the poke a hole, all of that jazz, just the footwork portion and the bridging, just so you can kind of figure out like what works for you. So sometimes in class, when I'm teaching the control, I won't use the reformer during my warm-up. I might just do some freestanding work. So something that I would like to do, I'll start with having my folks have their legs about hip distance apart. And just for the initiation, I'll start with some toe lifts. And I'll have them lift all 10 toes off the floor. And I know I'm kind of far away, so you might not be able to see my toes, so my toes are lifted. And then I'll say place your pinky toe, fourth, third, second, and then big toe on. And then lift my toes up again, and I'll reverse it and place my big toe, second, third, fourth, and fifth, just so I know that they're engaged. And I'll repeat that a few times. So I'll do it one more time each way. So I'll lift all 10 toes up, and then place my pinky, fourth, third, second, and big onto the floor. And then lift back up, place my big toe, second, third, fourth, and fifth down, just so you can get a little bit of activation in the feet and warm up the rest of the legs. The next thing I'll do is breathing here. So I'll place my hands along my rib cage, and just maybe something you could say is take a moment to center yourself, ground yourself, and find some stillness in your body. So you can breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And another thing, you'll place the thumbs right at the back of the brow line and the fingertips right underneath the rib cage. And you ask your clients or your members to breathe in through the nose and press through the thumbs and exhale it all out. Breathing in and breathing out, just so they create some more space in the ribs. Once we have that squared away, you can then do some pelvic curls. So hands can go onto the waistline, not the hip, but the waist, and pelvic curls. So I'll go sideways so you can actually see it. Turn it off, please. Curl the tailbone under and then arch the back. Curl under and arch the back. I like to call this Elvis pelvis, Beyonce booty. Elvis pelvis, Beyonce booty here. And you can kind of speed it up or you can go slow, depending on the tempo of your music. Another one that I like to do is pelvic circles or like little hip rolls. And this is really fun to do to the music here. So they're rolling their hips in a circle, okay? And then they can even move the hands around as they do it. You can even have them go side to side. Not quite a circle, but they're just mobilizing the hip joints here. And then of course you reverse it and go the other way. That's always an option there, okay? And just kind of explore that and do what feels good for you and your members and what kind of just makes sense. Something else that I like to do is that breath with the plie. So we can go back to that toe lift, but instead have them externally rotated. So I'll step back so I know you can see my feet. Have them externally rotated, feet turned out, okay? This is your second position because your feet are separated. Remember, first is here with the heels together, toes apart, wide Pilates feet. Second position is legs about the width of your hips, all right? And then you'll start to bend the knees, lengthen the spine. It's not too much of a hinge forward. You want to stay long. The arms can come out in front and the arms come up towards the ceiling. So you'll exhale, bend down. Inhale, press to the heels to rise up. Exhale, bend down. Inhale, rise up. And sometimes I start class with this. I might not do the pelvic curls or the pelvic circles. I might just start here. Another way to progress this or, you know, further your warm up is you can add in maybe a right heel raise, right? And then a left heel raise just to warm up the body each time. Then you can add in a both heel raise or releve. And exhale, inhale, releve up. And come down, inhale, releve up. Just to get the heart rate up and mobilize the ankles, okay? I'm a little sore, so that's why I'm like, don't want to do too many of those. Calf lengthening, which is something I know that we went over a little bit in class. And ladies, just so you know, I can't see you, so I don't know. Just making sure you guys are aware your camera is off. But nonetheless, you guys can just focus on what I'm doing. So, there's no pressure, but your shoulders are stacked with your hips. For your calf lengthening here, I have my right foot forward, left leg is back. It's imperative that both feet are facing parallel, so that way you can really reap the benefits. And I'll go sideways so you can see. So you really reap the benefits of lengthening the calf muscle, Achilles tendon, soleus, all of the juicy stuff in the back of the left leg. So again, my hips are nice and squared. I'll sweep my arms up on the inhale, and again, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, come up. And notice it's a flat back hinge. Again, both feet are facing forward, and I'm pressing through that left heel to really lengthen the back of my calf, and then use my core and my hips to rise up. Again, I'll show it again with the arms. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, up. That's what it is. And the hands can come down. Now, while you're doing that warm up and you're hinging forward and up, you can always sweep the arms forward and back to just make it more dynamic. You do want to keep a bend in your front knee. Otherwise, that will change the exercise. So again, keep a bend in the front knee. Okay. Hip opening. Do you have any questions about that one? Yeah, like, okay. Just wanted to make sure so you guys can see it. Hip opener. All right. So very similar setup. I'm just going to go on opposite legs because I'm feeling a little, like I said, a little fatigued today. So hip opener, both toes are facing forward. Again, hips are nice and squared. You'll then, when you take the hand that is opposite of the bent knee, so for me, my left leg is forward, my right arm comes up. I'll then lean towards my side and come up. It's about lateral flexion. My palm is facing inward, and I'll step back just so I know you can see that. Palm is facing inward, right? as I lean to the side of my bent knee and come up. And I lean and come up. It's the point is to stretch out the psoas, the QL side of the body. Now, this, for me, at least when I'm teaching it, feels a little boring. So I like to add in arms. So I'll even go from one side, T, and then other side, T. And it does challenge your balance a little bit here. So I like that position, or I can do a little rotation to make it a little bit spicier. Just so you're still getting the true basis of the exercise, just adding in some arm work here. You could even do arm circles while you're here. Now it is changing a little bit because now you're putting a little bit more pressure on that front leg to keep you stable, but it's still something that you can easily add on from there. And then of course you would switch sides. So think about just ways to open the arms up, because this is your warm up. So you want their body to warm up. Next, we have the hamstring stretch with the arm circles. I like this one because sometimes the ladies feel like, ooh, you know, they feel a little cute or sexy or whatever you want to call it. But I'll have my right foot forward, okay? And I can have a slight turnout in my left foot. And again, I will go this way so you get a better angle here. So it's the hinge part of the hip. I lean down as if I'm getting ready to tie my shoe. And then I bring my arms all the way up, around, and back, getting a nice big arm circle. And you can even nod the chin to chest, you know, get really fancy and cute with it. Reach the arms back like you're pushing water away, and then come back. And you do that a couple of times. And it's a nice way to just warm up the body. Again, the back foot can be slightly turned out if you want it to, or it can be parallel. Just to reiterate that calf lengthening that you saw earlier. Even to make it more challenging, the front toes can be lifted. That will really challenge your members' stability. And it also gives them a little bit of balance here. And then, like I said, this is just a little extra add-on. While you're here, when you reach forward and up, you can pull one knee in and then step it back. Reach forward and up, pull one knee in, or that left knee in, and step it back. Just makes it a little dynamic and gives them a little bit of balance challenge here. Okay? So that's just, like I said, it can get as spicy as you want it to be. Just, you know, finding ways to make it help your members get their heart rate up. Because my heart rate's even getting up just doing this so far. Any questions so far? Are we good? Okay, perfect. Body rolls. This is a fun one. And you can even implement this when there's like a chorus to one of your favorite songs that you like. So body roll is simply exactly what it sounds like. Body roll. Little body roll. And you can add in some arms each time. You know, like you're rowing a boat. I find that the members like that. You know, it's kind of fun to do. You can even put in small weights. You can even put this in your regular workout with some small weights as you're in between each move, right? And you can always reverse the body roll here. With the arms, you can even bend the knees a little bit and even hinge the hip, making it more exacerbated. So, like I said, you can really have some fun with that one. And I find that the members like that because it's like, ooh, you're feeling warm already. Next one is sky reach. You can again add weights with this if you want. So you're standing about a hip distance apart, all right? And you extend one arm up. Let me step back so you see. One arm up. And then you switch and you're doing a slight lateral flexion. Just minor. It's not too big. And I like to do this one like, I'll sing a song like, it's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. And I'll even pick the beat. And this, I just call the sky reach. And you can even do the same leg as you're doing it. But that that's a fun one. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Hallelujah. You know, that's a fun one to do. Or any song, really, just to get that reach inside. And then you can even get spicier with it and add more lateral flexion. But, you know, if somebody has shoulder issues, then maybe they just touch their shoulder each time if they have any limitations in the arm. Exactly. Or reaching forward. Exactly, Miss Tanya. Yes. There you go. And they're still kind of getting that same motion in there, that lateral flexion with that reach. Okay. So those are called sky reaches. I'm giving you guys some bonus stuff because I went through this long training for osteoporosis and osteopenia. And these are one of the exercises that they did. So I was like, oh, I'm going to give that to you. And then, of course, your air squat. I mean, you can't go wrong with the air squat. You do want to make sure that when they are doing their squat, that they distribute the body weight towards the hips a little bit, so they hinge forward and then they rise up. Because that's oftentimes what we say as instructors is just bend your knees, and then people do this weird awkward thing. But instead, they need to make sure that they're hinging forward, putting the weight into their glutes as they rise up to maximize the effort of the squat. Because the idea of a squat is more glute engagement, not so much quad, it's glute. So you want to make sure again that when they hinge, that they're sending the weight back towards the hips as they rise up. Just doing a nice air squat there. And again, as you get into your class, and usually this is like my last one before I get into some stuff, you can do the regular squat. You can even do a squat to heel raise. That is an option. Let me step back. Squat to heel raise. You can even do the arm swing as they get into it. Then you can add in maybe a little sky reach, squat, sky reach, squat, or with the arms, reaching here. You can go back to that squat, right? And then you can even do in some arm circles each time, right? So that right there, that could be one full song. So what I mean by is you start with your air squat, then you add in the arms, that's part 2 of it, with the arm circles, then a heel raise with the sky reach. And those are 3 moves that you could do during your workout or even in your warm-up, right? And you can take it back from the top with your basic squat, and then your arm circles, and then your sky reaches, just like that. And like I said, that right there, I wouldn't give people more than 3 exercises, per like every 2 minutes, if that makes sense, just because it gets a little confusing. I usually pick somewhere between 3 to 5 exercises, an entire song, whether it's a warm-up or your regular workout, just because I want it to look clean and I want them to kind of like be aligned with each other, and I like that unison. So I wouldn't like overdo it with the choreography. I gave you guys like a bunch. I pick like 3 or 4, unless it's just like the breathing or the pelvic curls, then you can kind of layer it on from there. But I wouldn't get too crazy with it at first until you know your group, and then you can kind of pick it up. So those are the freestanding warm-up moves that I like to do. Do we have any questions about that before we move to the reformer? Okay.
Yep.
So for the reformer, most people, when they get on the reformer, they usually just like sit there and wait for the teacher to get started. So you can say, all right, here's what we'll do. You can say, all right, here's what we'll do. Stay seated as you are in the reformer. We'll use a breathing exercise. And again, you did this standing. The thumbs go at the back of the bra line, fingertips underneath the rib cage here, and you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And then what you can do to make it a little bit more complex, once you feel like they got that, you can breathe in, lift the heart up, and then exhale around. And breathe in and exhale around. All while they're sitting here. It's like they're going from a swan to a spinal curl, and a swan and a spinal curl. And then one more. Now they're nice and warmed up. You say reach down, a red and blue spring. I like to do single leg footwork for my control classes because I like to have them just do it on one leg. So then you put on a red and blue. You could always do one green on your balanced body. You could do one red. That is an option. I find it a little light, but maybe just because my legs were strong, but some people might want a red. So then from there, you lay them on the reformer, okay? Headrest up or down. We'll go right into the single leg footwork here. So I'm gonna start with my right toe, ball of my foot is on, pushing out and in, just keeping it simple for now. You can even, after maybe the 5th rep, you could say, okay, kick your leg up and bend. Kick it up and bend. That's what you can do. All right, and then you go into your arch, same concept. I'm just gonna stay on the same leg for all intents purposes, all right? And then you can go onto your heel. You guys know that already, flexing the foot. What is something that I like to do in class, or something that I have done in class, is I will alternate their footwork series, meaning I will say, okay, put your left toe on the foot bar, right knee in tabletop, push out, bring it in, switch legs, push out, bring it in, switch legs. And it makes it a little bit more dynamic, because I know if you teach cardio sculpt, it's kind of like that, where you alternate that jump. So you alternate your footwork. You can do this entire series alternating with toes, arches, and heels. So it's kind of cool that you can alternate. And again, yep, you can totally add in the kick each time. Stage over there. As you go. Okay. All right. Then, of course, from here, you can go into poke a hole. Okay. So right leg in tabletop, or excuse me, right toe onto the foot bar, left leg in tabletop, push out, extend the leg when you bring it in, bend in towards the chest, push it out. So every time the carriage goes out, the left knee comes in towards the chest. Every time the carriage comes in, you extend the leg. And then you can always bicycle the leg, makes it a little bit more complex, or I think in your manuals, they call it developpe. Either or, and then you can reverse it, and you can synchronize it to the music. If I were to do poke a hole or developpe / bicycle, I would stick to one leg, just because it can get a little messy if you are alternating. It's so much more efficient to keep them on one leg. Okay. Then of course you place both toes on. You go into your running or prancing. This is a really nice one to do to a beat. You can even have weights in their hands if you wanted to, or they can just do a little snap. I use come on and vogue, vogue, vogue. I usually use vogue to this part by Madonna, just because I think it's good, especially with the snaps in the beginning. That's always nice, right? And then you bend and you bring it in. So those, and then of course, oh, I almost forgot ankle articulation. So both toes are on, heels are lifted. You push the carriage out, lower the heels, bend the knees, bring it in. Just as you would do on the jump board. Push out, lower the heels, bend the knees, bring it in. It just gives you less feedback because your heels are not touching anything. So ankle articulation is always a nice one. I always do ankle articulation or some type of ankle foot mobility because I incorporate so much standing and impact during my control class. So that is why I almost always will do something for the feet. And then of course you reverse it. Okay. And then of course our wide-legged bridge. So a fun transition, of course, I'll start by pulling these in towards the chest, lift the head and chest up. I'll do a few rounds of the hundreds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can place the hands onto the legs, okay? And then you can have your clients climb up their legs. They can separate, place the feet down, add on an additional spring. So they have on 3 or 4 springs. You can do bridging on red and blue. I personally don't like it on red and blue just because my hamstring starts screaming at me. But you totally can do red and blue. And then from there, you can have them lay back down, bring the legs back together. Head rest goes flat, of course, for bridging. I like wide leg bridge because it's similar to a plie, which is what they're going to be doing in class, you know, with the standing work. So hands are down, tailbone curls under, float the hips up, and then you push. You could do a regular bridge. I just automatically thought plie. So the bridge extension can be done here, pushing it out. And then you want to cue them that when they push it out, zip the inner thighs in and then release. And you can even add an arm, zip the inner thighs in and release. And you want them to imagine wrapping their glutes or wrapping their seat in towards each other so they get the maximal benefit of it, right? And then they can lower their hips back down. You could also have the releve, right? Because you want to do moves that we're going to be doing in our class. Lift their heels up high. They're on the balls of their feet. Hips go back up and pushing out and in. Again, keeping the heels lifted as you do it. And just a couple more. And then your last one. Bring it all the way back in. Knees come back in towards the chest. Extend the legs up. And then I might go right into scissor legs. I go into maybe my abdominal series here with the pull, switch. Hands at the back of the head, right? And a fun one that I've done before, I bend the knees. I go into crisscross, right? I cross in the direction of their area, place one hand on, and have them press themselves up. So you guys try that transition. So I'll show it again so that you guys can see it. Hands behind the head, crisscross, cross in the direction of your station hold. Place your hand that is furthest away from your station onto your shoulder block. Push yourself up, spin, and come all the way up and off your station. Yeah, it just the transitions, and this is my classical training coming in from Pilates. Transitions are a part of the exercise. So I always like to incorporate transitions. I don't like any just standing idle movements. I like to keep you moving so that way you're maximizing our 50 minutes with each other. So you really reap the benefits and feel super strong. But yeah, those are some of the warm-up ideas that I have. Again, you can always add in arms, you know, that footwork series. I mean, gosh, that could probably alone take up like 5 to 8 minutes of your workout already, just for that part. And then if you wanted to incorporate some of that bar warm up with the freestanding, you can. So what I'll do, oh, I wish I had my, I'll pretend this is my ballet bar. I don't feel like getting my booty kicker from upstairs. So say you just did your footwork series, right? Then you go over to your ballet bar, which you guys have at the studio. So I'll pretend this is my ballet bar here. All right, then I'll go right into maybe pelvic curls, just to kind of keep the beat. Pelvic curl, and then the hip circle, and then the hip circle. And then I'll maybe ask them to turn their feet out a little bit. And we'll go into an air squat. And remember, you want to make sure that they're hinging forward slightly so they can distribute the weight of their hips here. And you want them lightly touching that ballet bar. It's gentle because most of it is them lifting their body weight up and down, okay? You don't want any death grip on there. Very gently touch it, okay? And then that's when you can start getting into your full workout. You can start by doing some releves, and squat and lifting the heels, you know. And then you could always add in your knee lift, because see, now I'm giving you like workout stuff, but we'll save that for next week or the next time. But those are things that you can think about for your warm up. And I don't know about you, but if you do it, you actually feel like warmed up, because I did. So those are some warm up ideas. Do you guys have any thoughts or comments on any of it? And sorry about my daughter in the background.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I noticed, so you said you normally do warm up standing up, even though you gave us some variations on the reformer, right?
So I do. Sometimes I do. Yeah. So it kind of depends. Like lately, I have been trying to stick to the format that is in bar above, because I have 2 or 3 of my control classes available on YouTube with actual people in them. so you could see it. So that way, you know, like, okay, like this is what she's doing, or oh, I like this move, or oh, maybe she could have done this, or maybe she could have done that, or I, you know, so I posted every Wednesday I teach control and I record the class so because they already know, and I put it on YouTube so that way teachers like yourselves can see it and then kind of like make it their own in some shape or way. But lately I have been doing the warm up on the foot on the reformer and the bridging part, but I will on occasion not use the reformer at all. And maybe this Wednesday I won't. So matter of fact, I won't use the reformer at all this Wednesday.
Have you ever used the TRX to warm up?
It's been a while that I've done that in the control class. It's not that you can't. I mean, because some people like that's extra support, you know, but the whole goal of like bar, or at least one of the goals, is like to work on your balance and stability. So like always holding on to something, you know, kind of might take that away. Yeah. Because bar is pretty much like functional movement. We're trying to help people be function in a way that they don't necessarily always need support or something to hold on to. So it kind of sort of takes away the goal of it, but if they need it, then by all means give it to them.
So that helped me a lot. So sorry. I'm always wondering like what's like my goal of bar or control. But I like to say it's really more of a functional movement.
Yes.
Endurance too.
Yes. So it is endurance, it is functional, and it also is balance, right? Because you're doing some things that are on like one leg. Yeah. So it's really to create a symmetry in your body through endurance, mobility, and functionality. Yeah. Hope that, yeah, I had to like go back and like do my own research. I'm like, what exactly is part? Like, how do I say this in like 3 words or less? And that is what I came up with. So
I have to use the TRX, but for like the warm up, I'll do the footwork there, and but I'll use it as a balance challenge. Like I'll have them do squats, and then maybe do I'm sorry, crossover, curtsy lunge, and then go from curtsy to knee lift, curtsy to knee lift, but just to create a balance challenge. So I have used it in that way in my control class.
Yeah, and that is definitely not wrong at all. But like I said, the whole ultimate goal, because you can do this style of class without like a reformer or anything. Yeah. You could do it just freestanding, because I actually go and take bar classes at a yoga studio, so they don't have any of that. And the whole goal is to be able to do this without the support and like moving your body like freely, like in an open chain. Yeah. So I totally love that you're using that for the balance challenge, because it does make sense, and you are able to hold it more. You are able to stabilize, and you're also able to make sure your hips are squared and level, because sometimes in freestanding, you can't, like, you're a little off center, right? So it's a great way to kind of like correct yourself. But, you know, maybe next time challenge them and just say, all right, this is how we're going to do it. And then if you go back to your manual with the TRX, they're probably able to go to their end range. But without the TRX, they might have to stay in mid range or even a shorter range than that. So you can kind of play with the different levels of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And then my final tidbit would be, and this is what I learned today from my training that I went through. Speed is a privilege. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And she went into detail. She's like, you know, in order for someone to do something at a faster rate, they need to get the fundamentals and foundation of it down, right? So that's why I said earlier, I wouldn't give your members more than like 3 choreographed like ideas, you know, per song, because if it gets overtly complex, it just becomes like a hot mess and it just looks wild. And then somebody could just get injured. You know, that's right. The main thing. So I picked like 3 things that I'll do, and I'll layer them. So the air squat, right? Then you could do the releve, and then you could do the knee raise, and you can even add in the sky reach in there. And then that's it. They will get tired enough doing that for 3 minutes. And you can break it up. And you, like, when a chorus of a song comes on, this is when I know I do my air squats. When the bridge comes on, this is when I know I do my sky reaches. you know, or when the person is just, you know, given a verse. Okay, this is when I do my releves, squat to releve. And that's all you'll have to do. And they will feel it and they'll be like, whoo, I need some water. Like, or whoo, I need a break. And that's what you want. You want to get their heart rate up. You want to, they're dancing, but not like dancing, if that makes sense. They're going to a beat. It's like
I always encourage people to control the movement too, because you guys probably experience it too. You have certain people in your class, like everything is 100 miles. They're like jackrabbits. It's like, slow it down. Don't rush the movement. I want you to control the movement. You'll see them and their bodies are just like all over the place. There's no control. There's no, it's not tight. It's not pretty. You know, it's just, they're just rushing the movement. Yeah.
And so
the form is bad.
So then I challenge you, find another way to say control to them. Like, how would you describe control to somebody without using the word?
Like visually?
Or anything. Yeah. Like you're teaching the class and you're probably like control. They think about it. It may not be sticking, right? So then you have to find a different way to say it. So how would you say control, move with control?
Would you do it by cueing?
I would just count. I'll just count and say, follow the flip. So if you're going faster than I'm counting, bring it down so that you roll with my counts. That's a good way that I get the bunny rabbits to slow down.
Yeah, no, yes. Words like that. Yeah, that's all. I figured you already knew, but you know, something that I do, I'll count, but I also use my hands and I use the inflection of my voice also to get them to do what I want them to do. So for example, right? Let's see, the 100 is like the most basic one. If I count a little slower, breathe in 2, 3, 4, 5, and out 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick it up and in 2, 3, 4, 5, and out 2, 3, 4, 5, and bring it down 2, 3, 4, 5, and out 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll even use the entire rhythmic of my voice to get them to move in a way that I want them to move. I'll also use my hands, you know. I'll use beats. You guys know beats on the feet and strap or beats on the leg springs.
Yeah.
And I'll show you guys leg springs at some point during these sessions because you can totally have fun with the leg springs during the control class. But I'll say beat 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and I might even go quicker. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or 10, 9, 8, 7, hey, 6, and 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. I'll do that. And so I'll use my hands and articulation. And that is me saying move with control without me saying with control. That makes sense. Yeah. So that's just a little extra like nugget that you guys can use for your teaching. So that way they can get a lot better at it. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Say something and I cut you off.
No.
Vicky, you were going to say
I have a question.
And I cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I noticed, with the bar above, with the Pilates emphasis, it's a little bit different than what an instructor said Club Pilates would do that didn't have that training. They're just going based on, I don't know, maybe a video or something they've watched. So I feel like with some of the other, and this is probably a pride thing, you know what I mean, just maybe just a little bit, but they'll say, oh, so-and-so worked me real hard in the control class. And that class is always full. I know I'm dealing with numbers, but mine is like, not like that. Because she would normally keep them like 5 minutes, just light weights in hand, doing upper body constantly for like 5 minutes straight. And they feel like they have gotten a great workout. So how can I make it a great workout? Because you said no more than 3 to 4 exercises per song. So do you take them through maybe the same number of exercises, but just at a different song and a different tempo, just kind of switch it up? So they feel like they're working that same, like say the shoulders, they're working it more than just that one song and moving on to something else.
So I probably do like a combination of what you said and that other instructor is doing. So like you did your warm up, three to 4 exercises per song. Then I'll say, okay, guys, grab your weights. We're going to focus on upper body, right? And that's when we'll maybe do I like to call these open gates. I'll do a press. I'll hit you with a bicep curl. Then I might give you a tricep. right? And then we take it back from the top, and we're moving to the music because we're working that endurance aspect of it, and the functional movement, right? Because I mean, you do have to lift your arms up, you do have to things. So I will section it off like that, and then I'll say, okay, we'll now go back to legs. Let's go to your bar. Give me some donkey kicks, some knee raises, some fire hydrants, some pulses, some leg circles.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? And like I only went through the warm up today because I'm gonna go through like each section and give. So like next week or this Sunday, I'll probably do arms, and we'll go through a full thing of arms. Then the next week we'll do abs, we'll do legs, we'll talk about more Pilates aspect of it using, and then maybe at some point we'll go through musicality. Like so we'll break it. That's the point of these, so that way you guys can get. I just don't want to get too much too soon because like that 8 hours is just not enough for it to really stick. And I realized that, and I was like, how can I do this better? How can I make sure people are really getting it? So, but yeah. Do you guys have any other questions?
I have one other question for you, Clarissa. So you said sometimes in your control class you don't use the reformer at all. What's the response like? Because I feel like from our bridge training and the expectation from the population, because it's a reformer studio, that there's some expectation that the reformer is going to be incorporated at some point, even if it's just 10 minutes. And same for you, Vicki. Do you ever do your control class and not use the reformer at all?
No, I never have, because I've heard several members in this studio say, I can do all that at home, but I don't have the reformer. Yeah. So I feel kind of somewhat.
So
like you have to incorporate it,
somewhere,
I feel like that there's an expectation that it's gonna that it needs to.
For sure. And I'm gonna take the recording off for this one.